Moderator, Commissioners and Guild friends. As National Convener of the Church of Scotland Guild, I'm delighted to present the Guild report for 2022-23 to the General Assembly. In October last year, I took the Guild oath of office in this hall and became National Convener, an honour and a privilege to be given the opportunity to lead our wonderful movement. The Guild theme for 2022-23 is We Seeds, Big Trees, the second year in our strategy of Look Forward in Faith. Faith has always been at the core of the Guild through worship, prayer, action and fellowship, and defines who we are. It's 136 years since one of our former moderators, the Very Reverend Professor Archibald Charteris, had the drive and determination to push the General Assembly to set up Life and Work and the Diaconate and help them to see the potential for women to do more for the Church. A man of ambition, a man of vision, he planted those first seeds that established the then Women's Guild. Those wee seeds have been nurtured by Guild members past and present, helping us to develop strong roots, always acknowledging God's hand in our growth. This could not be better summed up than in Paul's words from 1 Corinthians, I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow. The Guild, like the Church, is going through a time of change. How appropriate then is our theme of We Seeds, Big Trees, showing us that as we grow spiritually and physically, we continue to acknowledge and value the past, nurture the present, and plant for the future. We plant seeds in faith and with the confidence that God will grow them, that the Guild, like the Church, has a future in God's hands. 1997 was a significant year for the Guild. It was a year when membership was open to men as well as women. And whilst men are still a small percentage of our overall membership, they are increasingly more involved at all levels. And we would ask congregations who have a Guild to support them prayerfully and practically, and actively encourage new people, including men, to join and play their part in the growth of the Guild. The last few years have been difficult, but the Guild has always been a source of support for our members. The Guild is a safe place to be, a welcoming place, a place to meet friends and chat. The Guild is all these things, but much more. The Guild has been described as Sunday school for grannies and grandpas, rather tongue-in-cheek. But it's not a bad description. For many of you, it would be in Sunday school, week by week, that those first seeds of faith were planted, where you went with school friends, learning about God's love for you. Some of you here today may not know much about the Guild, but I would be surprised if most, if not all, don't remember your days in Sunday school and what an important part that played in the faith which you now have. The Guild, like Sunday school, is a way of welcoming people in, a way of introducing people to God and the Church, or for some, a way of reintroducing, a way of bringing back adults whose connection with the Church may have stopped. Adults whose wee seeds of faith may have been planted in Sunday school and which have just taken a little bit longer to grow. The Guild is a way of returning to something in the Church, which is perhaps a less daunting way than walking through the front door on a Sunday morning. The Guild is an opportunity for mission, an opportunity to support spiritual growth in our churches and in our communities. And we want the Church to see us as a partner in that wider mission, planning in congregations and presbyteries. Physically, the Guild continues to see green shoots of growth too. We see these new green shoots in new guilds which have been established in Ellen, Newport-on-Tay and New Milnes. And we pray that these new branches will establish strong roots as they are grown prayerfully. Changes in our churches and presbyteries will not be easy, but the Guild is adapting and meeting change head-on. Merging churches may have caused a drop in the number of Guild branches. However, merging congregations have brought new members, especially where one congregation who had no Guild joins a congregation with an existing Guild. The existing Guild is strengthened and encouraged by new members. The closure of a church building, though, should not necessarily lead to the closure of a Guild. And we have been heartened, particularly in rural areas, by Kirk Sessions, who have seen the missional role of the Guild and have encouraged their Guild to continue by meeting in other places in the community, such as village halls, hotels, or in some cases in people's homes. These new ways of being Guild are welcome and help to provide the fellowship that people value and a continued Christian witness in a community. Thinking of our theme of We Seed Big Trees, the gardeners among us will know that growth depends on careful pruning. A pruned tree may look a little sad for a while, but we wait for the improved growth, and we have faith that it will blossom again. Guilds in Largs, Prestwick and Lanark have found new ways of working together and are experiencing new growth as a result. And these guilds are not just surviving, but thriving in God's hands. And that change is happening at presbytery level too. For those of you not familiar with guilds together groups are exactly what the name says. Guilds in an area, traditionally within a presbytery, who meet together and share fellowship. The increase in size of the new presbyteries means that for many guild branches, it's proving more difficult to get together because of the distance and availability of transport. These changes to presbyteries have required the Guild to think in new ways. Guilds Together groups have already been strengthened by finding different ways of working in Forth Valley and Clydesdale, in Aberdeenshire, in Moray and in Moray Firth, and others will follow. We look forward in faith to what the future holds for these groups. However, in some areas, the size of a presbytery means that simply mirroring the boundary of a new presbytery is unrealistic. And so, as a guild, we are looking for opportunities to make life easier for guilds to come together. There may be more than one Guilds Together group in a presbytery, if that is what works best for the guild. In some areas, there may be Guilds Together groups that cross presbytery boundaries, if this makes it easier for guilds to come together. New Guilds Together groups may differ geographically from new presbyteries, but those important connections with each other will not be lost. The key thing for the Guild is that the opportunity to meet with other Guild members from nearby areas remains, and we want to put in place the right structure that enables that to happen. The perception for some in this hall and in the wider church is that the Guild is simply the chance for a chat and a cup of tea. But how wrong could you be? The Guild is and has brought radical and sometimes controversial issues right to the heart of the church, often before others. The Guild has tackled difficult issues at home and abroad: homelessness, addiction, HIV, prostitution, female genital mutilation, fleeing refugees, young farmers affected by climate change, young teenage mothers written off by society, and the list goes on. Through our project partners, we've been planting wee seeds and have grown and developed into big trees. And tonight, we will be holding our big sing in this hall, and we'll be hearing from organisations who have been projects with us in the past. There's still time to be part of this amazing evening, and if you would like a ticket, speak to us later. The tickets are free. Being able to have these big sing events has been such an encouragement. We were in Lanarkshire for our Christmas Big Sing, and then in March we were at Queen's Cross Church in Aberdeen. Both churches were packed, and saw Guild members near and far taking part. Moving these events around the country makes them accessible to more people and is a great way to connect with each other. Our annual gathering will again be held here in the Assembly Hall in September, and we look forward to welcoming you, Moderator, along with the Govan Songsters and our other guest speaker, Professor Jason Leach. It's the highlight of our year, when we can share and celebrate the work of the Guild. The sad death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth saw our 2022 event moved to October as a mark of respect. As a lasting tribute to the life and reign of Queen Elizabeth, the Guild will be helping establish a green canopy in Malawi, the country where we have strong links with guilds in the Synod of Livingstonia. Malawi is a country where the impact of climate change is felt deeply, and deforestation has added to the problems people face. Working with Gary Brough, one of the Church's mission partners, and the Synod, we are establishing a tree nursery in Mzuzu and woodlots in each of our twinned areas. This green canopy will see trees planted that will provide commercial timbering, fruit trees to generate income for local guilds involved in outreach and social care, and fast-growing trees to help with soil retention. We've already raised almost £10,000, 3 times the original target of £3,500 that we had hoped to raise. Once again, the Guild showing God's love in action. As I've already said, Moderator, we've been planting seeds of love through our project partnership scheme for over 50 years. Our current projects are planting new seeds, and we're already seeing growth. In Tanzania, working alongside the Vine Trust, where in the Gisunzu Village of Hope, 25 orphan children have already been found supportive, caring families and a newly built home to stay in. The Sunflower Sanctuary opened just last month in Uganda and is enabling children with additional needs to receive an education like their peers and tackling the stigma that these children face. All over Scotland, Beat is providing much needed advice and support to people with eating disorders and their families. Working with Home for Good, we're encouraging Christians to consider fostering and adoption as a choice for them, and supporting congregations as they think about how they can support vulnerable children in their communities. Just as Archibald Charters helped the women in Scotland find their voice in the life of the Church of Scotland, UNIDA is transforming the lives of young Brazilian women through theological education and enabling them to find their voice in the Church in Brazil. And in Southeast Asia, the project with the pioneers is helping farmers to get a fair price for the cocoa beans they produce. All these projects planting seeds of encouragement and hope, all showing God's love in action. Seeds of Hope much nearer home comes from the newly established Young Adults Guild. The inspiration for this came from the young people themselves, who, feeling a gap since the demise of the National Youth Assembly, approached the Guild to help them find a new way to be a voice in the Church. For years now, the Guild and the young people of the Church have sought to encourage and support each other, and this request from them was met with the same response: of course we can help you, come and join us. And so the Young Adult Guild for people between the ages of 18 and 30 in the Church of Scotland and beyond was established. It's a forum where young people can explore their faith, learn more about the work of project partners, support each other and grow as young Christians. It's their space, their place, their programme. But they also know there are 10,000 Guild members there in the background, willing them to succeed and encouraging them every step of the way. At the moment, they are meeting online with membership that stretches from the northeast to the southwest, rural and urban together. In time, we all hope they will meet as smaller groups in person in particular localities. But for now, online is the way to go, and it is working well. Moderator, commissioners and Guild friends, I can think of no more positive note on which to end this report than with this bright hope for the future of the Guild and of the Church of Scotland. Moderator, I present the report and move the deliverance.
Thank you. Thank you. I am going to have to leave you now, but I leave you in the capable hands of Collins and Claire. Thank you.
Thank you, Moderator. Thank you, Convener. Are there questions? Yeah. Yes? Name and number.
Doug McRoberts, 442. I'll turn it into a question because it actually suits the purpose. First of all, can I thank the Guild for all the amazing work they do through their projects. Earlier in the Crossreach report, we heard the rollout of Heart for Art, how that's progressing. 10 years ago, that was kick-started as a Guild project, a mission project. I know that because the one I was involved in, which was out of Africa into Malta, was also a Guild project that year. And that project, to my personal knowledge, was a miracle. It turned lives around. My wife and I were back in Malta just a while back, and we can confirm to the Guild that all the stuff that you were allowed us to start 10 years ago is still flourishing, it's still developing, and it's still growing. It's wonderful. And this allows me a chance to fulfill a promise that I made on that visit, which I haven't had a chance to do until now. One of our African refugees, his name's Clement, he's from Nigeria. His home was burned down, as was his church, when Boko Haram went on the rampage. He's ended up now as an elder in our church in Malta. He said to me, "Will you please take my thanks to the Miracle Ladies of Scotland?" So today I can do that, but I said to him at the time, the Guild has men as well, and he paused for a moment and said, "Another miracle?"
Can I ask for a third miracle, that you turn your statement into a question?
The question is, are the Guild aware that they are miracle workers, and is the rest of the church aware that this is a great way to get involved in miracle work?
Thank you for your question and your encouraging remarks. Yes, we are aware that we do great things. I won't say miracles, but that we can do great things. Little seeds grow into big trees and continue to grow. Thank you.
Convener, it's almost a blessing to see a convener blush. We have a question from Andrea Broyce online.
Thank you, moderator Andrea Boyce, 464, from a cold northwest, so a jacket is on. I just want to say how excited, enthused, encouraged I am by this Guild report. And I'm a bit surprised that I'm saying that, but I shouldn't be, because the Guild always does good work. But my question is, how can I get to know more about this young adult Guild, and when will that be coming out to presbyteries?
Convener.
The information is already out, but we'll be happy if you give us your contact details. We'll be happy to send it directly to you again.
Thank you. I've no further questions, so I think we'll move to the deliverance, section 1. Yes? Peter Johnson, come and... If you are planning to speak, we've got a lot of reports yet, so if you can get your name registered, that's always enormously helpful. I know, we'll teach you technology, Peter.
Johnston 386, thank you, moderator. I'm not sure if William Tembo is in the hall with us, but at lunchtime at the Christian Aid and Faith Impact Forum gathering, we heard directly from William from Malawi about the project for the tree planting, so the metaphorical seeds and trees that you have in the report, but also the practical details that were going on there. And it was wonderful to hear the work that's going on there, and thinking about the diversity of the planet in terms of human, but also the wider diversity of the planet, and trying to help within the situation of climate change there. And so thank you for the work that you've been doing with the Synod in Livistonia. It was wonderful to hear that directly from William as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Johnson. Section 1 received the report. Section 2. And online, thank you. Section 3. And there is Tom McIntyre wants to make a comment, I think. Tom.
I'm here. Microphone 72. Moderator, my name is Tom McIntyre, and I hope I'm an enthusiastic member of the Guild. You've heard so much in the report and from the convener. The moderator, the current moderator, admitted yesterday that she was feeling rather lonely because she'd not heard a female voice. Now, I'm on the leadership team of North Ayrshire, Guilds Together, who have appointed me to serve on the National Council. But I'm the only man. So I'm lonely. And I want to ask the convener if this would be a reasonable suggestion that the Guilds Together might occasionally try and find a man who would represent them at the national level so that the awareness of men in the Guild might be expanded in that way. So I pose that question to the convener.
Convener? Do you want men?
With respect, moderator, I have bluffed once already today, and I won't. In an ideal world, to try to answer the question, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have to differentiate between men and women, getting them to join anything, including the Guild. However, since 1997, when men were first able to become members of the Guild, we have in fact still got less than 500 men out of a membership of 10,000. I'm not trying to avoid the issue or pass the buck, but actually we need to go back to local level, because from local becomes regional, becomes national. So really, I would say every member of the Guild, Kirk sessions and members of congregations as well, can all play their part by encouraging people to come and join the Guild, talking about the Guild, inviting people to come. And not just, well, if you're not doing anything next Monday at 7 o'clock and you're in the vicinity, a personal approach. Why don't we go and have a bit of something to eat, and then I'll take you to the Guild and you can see what it's like. And many of the men that in my travelling around the country so far this year, many of the guilds I've gone to where there have been men, a significant number of men, these men have joined because they were driving their wives, partners, next door neighbours in one case, to the Guild, and thought, well, what's the point of going home? I'll barely be home for an hour and then I'll have to come back. And so they stayed, and they liked what they saw and they liked what they heard. So that's one way of doing it. But I really do think we have to go back to local level, to the branches, and start from there. Because unless you've been involved locally, you're not going to move on to doing things regionally, and from there to doing anything nationally. That's my feeling, and that's what I think we should do. And we should do it, and we should do it more often. And thanks to Kirk sessions and congregations who do help to promote the Guild as well.
Thank you, Convener. I don't see anything else for Section 3. Is Section 3 approved in the hall and online? Thank you. Section 4. It seems approved online. Section 5. It's approved and online. Section 6. And online. Section 7. Section 7, we have Ross Blackman.
Mike 51. I'm there, great. 223 Blackman, get my number right, will help. I don't want to wear out my welcome on the floor of Assembly, but I really did feel I had to speak on the item of the Guild and endorse this commendation, not just because it relates to my own presbytery, but I really love the Guild. And in the course of the last 10 years, I've stood at Assembly and commended a number of the reports that you've brought to the Assembly. You do fantastic work. Last year, my own congregation's guild hit the 100 years mark. Can I just say that none of the members were founder members? You'll be pleased to know. But nonetheless, they hit the 100-year mark. But they have been devastated, of course, by the pandemic and how that's affected so many different people. But I see here that you're exploring new ways of working. I'm so glad that you are doing just that. In line with my earlier motion about planning review, I would further encourage the Guild to really think about how you can also maybe engage with other churches as well. That might be something to be thinking about, because it seems we have an open door there in so many different ways. But can I just tell you, you are a jewel, an absolute jewel in the way you work, in the way you relate to others. I'm really excited to hear about item 8, but I'm not going to talk on that. I'll sit down in just a second, about the Young Adults Guild. That really seems amazing. But please do keep shining the way and keep scattering those little seeds. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There's nothing else. Does the Assembly approve section 7 and online? Thank you. Section 8, we have 2 people down here, Matthew Phillip first, and then Ian Young. So if they're ready to speak, Matthew Phillip.
Thank you, Moderator. Matthew Phillip, 418. Moderator, as one of the founding steering group members of the Young Adult Guild, I would like to commend and raise awareness of the Young Adult Guild and give an outline of what it's all about, our aims and what we hope to achieve through our work. The Young Adult Guild was formed by a group of young people who all got together at last year's General Assembly. We wanted to start something new for young adults and were inspired to partner with the Guild, as we knew that they are highly respected for their work across the church. When we decided to start our own Guild branch, we weren't sure of what we wanted it to look like, and this is still a growing phenomenon. We are passionate about young people, mission and fellowship. We wanted to start something where young people and young adults feel like that they belong and are part of something, with a focus on mission, fellowship and discipleship. Our initial aim is to build a platform with young adults where we hope to worship together, reflect together and learn about mission together. Our bigger and wider aim is that the Young Adult Guild grows enough so that we can have smaller local groups which we would hope to meet in person. Unfortunately, the platform isn't quite big enough for that yet, hence why we're meeting online via Zoom at this moment in time. With that said, we all feel the burden of Zoom. We know that getting deep connections with people is much trickier to achieve, which is why we are keen to see how this grows and develops, hopefully becoming something which is more local and where we can possibly meet in person. We've had 3 meetings of the Young Adult Guild so far, with the launch meeting taking place on the 17th of January, where our topic was empowerment through times of change. We met again on the 1st of March, where the theme was finding the light in every child, addressing the challenges of stigma and myths around intellectual and physical disabilities in Uganda. During this meeting, we were pleased to be joined by a representative from Star Child to speak about the fantastic work that they are doing in Uganda to help so many children. Our most recent meeting took place on the 20th of April, where the discussion for the evening was based around peace and justice. At this meeting, we were delighted to be joined by representatives from Christian Aid and International Justice Mission UK, who spoke about the great work that they are doing on tackling these important issues. Our next meeting will be on Monday, the 5th of June, and the topic will be Home for Good. Further information about this meeting will be issued in due course. I would like to encourage commissioners at this point to spread the word amongst your congregations, guild groups and presbyteries, and use any platforms that are available to you to reach out to young people and young adults in your local area that would be interested in joining us at future Young Adult Guild meetings. Young adults and the young at heart are always welcome to attend Young Adult Guild meetings. We are also looking for new members aged 18 to 30 to join the steering group. If you are interested, please get in touch. We would be happy to hear from you. The Young Adult Guild have Facebook and Instagram pages which we use to share meeting information, including a sign-up form for our mailing list, which you will need to fill out in order to receive the Zoom link for our meetings. You only need to fill this form once. In concluding, Moderator, on behalf of the steering group, I would like to thank the Guild for the enthusiastic support that we have received in helping to create the Young Adult Guild and progressing it to where it is now. Without your support, we wouldn't have got the Young Adult Guild to where we are with it today. Thank you.
Thank you. Ian Young.
53, Moderator. Ian Young, 208. As a former youth representative of the church, I would like to thank the Guild for everything that they do with young people. I would love to join the Youth Guild, even though I'm way over the 18 to 30, or even join the Guild. I will happily join the Guild. I remember as a youth rep that there was always a competition between the youth reps and the Guild to find out who had the best sweeties, and the Guild usually won. But I would just like to thank the Guild personally for all that they've done. I was fortunate enough to speak at one of the Guild's conferences at the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall, and it was recorded on video. Remember them? But I would just like to thank the Guild for all their hard work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does the Assembly approve Section 8? And online? Thank you. Section 9? Is that approved? And online? And when we have a new deliverance for number 10 in the name of Andrew Gardner. Can I just ask the convener, is this something you're likely to accept? Do you know what it is? Let's have it read, first of all, by the Principal Clerk. Oh, yes. Is your thing seconded, Mr. Gardner?
Yes, it is seconded, and it's in the seconders in the
Let's give me your name and number, and then see whether the convener is willing to accept. I'm conscious just that if we've so much business to do, we're going to end up singing our final reports during the big sing of the Guild, so we want to keep moving as we can.
So my number's 322, Gardner.
Thank you, Moderator. The new motion is insert a new Section 10. Give thanks for the vibrant life that the Guild brings to the Christian witness of local congregations.
Okay. You can speak if it, I'm quite sure the Guild are going to accept it, so you can, if you keep your comments brief, that would be great.
As always, Moderator, I'll keep my comments brief.
Always.
So the Guild, as we've heard, are the best informed folks in the church. You've spoken about the past projects. You've spoken to us today about present projects that you support, and you know a lot about what's going on because of the work that you support. The Guild are also very generous because you support those projects, and we give thanks for all the years of generosity that you've shown. You're inspirational because you work across boundaries, you work across parishes. You realise that we don't need a draft basis of union to do that. And all of that filters down into the life of the congregation. That commitment, that spirituality, it shapes the life of worshipping communities. And I just wanted that to be noted in our deliverance today, how much I appreciate the work of the Guild, and I'm sure, as we've heard, that everyone in the church appreciates the work of the Guild. So thank you for what you do, and keep it going.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Is that section approved? And online? And then we come to the deliverance as a whole. Is that approved? And online. Convener. Helen, we are not strangers. We spent time in Zambia together, and I survived. Helen, you're a wonderful role model for faith and action. Soon after joining your local guild, you rolled up your sleeve and took on responsibilities, active in Inverclyde guilds together, and representing them on the National Council. You've shared your gifts, leading worship in your congregation in Port Glasgow, and developing resources to support Guild members. You've also played a leading part at an international level, travelling to Zambia in 2020 to support the Guild's project Empowering the Teenage Mothers, and you will shortly be travelling to Malawi to develop partnership with the Church of Central Africa Presbyterian, the Synod of Livingstonia. Your innovative thinking, your infectious energy have helped the Guild transform and embrace new ways of being the Guild, especially looking for ways to develop as new presbyteries and mission planning see congregations unite. I've always seen the Guild as one of the best examples of edgy in the Church of Scotland. Thank you for leading this forward-thinking and actively relevant group of people so well. Thank you so much for your time as National Convener. I know you've still some time to do. Thank you. And thank you to the Guild.